very good day to all good people across the world. I am Ola Fasheku, evangelist, Demystify Sin Ministry, and author of Demystify Sin titles. Demystify Sin 4.0, a flagship, New World Order. Demystify Sin 3.0, Overcome Darkness. Demystify Sin 5.0, It's Babylon's War. The titles explain in detail how the kingdom of the beast, and as the last and closing phases of the old Roman Empire, and how the Antichrist as Roman emperor and the eighth world ruler are being set up. They explain the fault lines and alignment of powers of world war being waged for world domination, world war that is already on in the spirit. They explain how we must prepare ourselves. The titles are bigger for telling context for what I describe in detail in these videos, as laying out incontrovertible and exhaustive proof of death squad activity of the Nigerian police force set up and deployed against me. I lay out incontrovertible and exhaustive proof of Nigerian police force death squad activities set up and deployed against me in direct attempts to abduct, to kill me, murder. The evidence as proof that I present in these videos are so exhaustive to leave no wiggle room or room for arguments. I make assertions with the highest sense of responsibility. I back up all my assertions that I hereby make unequivocally and in the strongest terms, backed up with all manner of proof. I lay out all the attempts to abduct, to kill me, many attempts that involve the Nigerian police force having given its consent, that progressed from having given its consent to now undertaking the attempt to abduct, to kill me by itself through its death squad operations. I lay out proof. I lay out how I beat every attempt, as how I can make this disclosure and assertions in the public interest. This is our local version of spiritual fault lines of world war. World war which is here in the spirit and is coming in the full, in objective reality, and will affect majority of the inhabitants on the planet, as indicated in Revelation 3:10, as the hour of temptation that will come upon all the inhabitants of the world, that we have a chance. We have a chance to escape that temptation. It goes back to Luke 11:4 or 14, that says, "And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil." War is on, folks. This is the time to fight or to support the fight against evil that looks to emerge in power, in the most aggressive, in the most oppressive and wicked form beyond imagination. Local New World Order cultists are all over the world, in one form or the other. They all have parallel objects, individually, to position themselves for what is expected as the kingdom of the beast, the Antichrist. They strive to take critical ground and establish themselves on the ground and entrench themselves in the ground. Other cultists essentially form the body of the beast, the Antichrist, and they are the building blocks of its kingdom. It's a Roman empire politically, but with spiritual roots in Babylon. The body of the beast already has a form and a structure in the spirit, waiting to manifest politically and fully in power as some type of Nazi party, a worldwide Nazi party, complete with SS arm, brown shirts, Luftwaffe, Wehrmacht, Panzer divisions, as a form of one world government. So this is a local version, this is a local arm constituting itself as part of that humongous monster that is not too far away from us. For example of the impending reality that waits to confront we who are not their members, should we concede without some fight, all our property, especially landed property, is subject to confiscation for appropriation to their members when they secure themselves fully in power. Thus, the Nigerian Police Force authorities taking sides and coming to the aid of local New World Order cultists who have hijacked a residents' association coming to their aid in their desperation to remove me, who is perceived as their obstacle, is from natural affiliation born of deep common roots and interests. These local New World Order cultists hijacked a residents' association in the estate where my house is for use as an instrument to get their occult domination objects. The estate where my house is Mobility Johnson Place in Lekki in Lagos. The involvement of the Nigerian Police Force authorities stems from weighing in on the side of local New World Order cultists who hijacked a residents' association in the estate where my house is and insist on waging the war of annihilation against me in their desperate attempt to usurp authority over my property and person, to foist their occult domination over both, as terms I could never even begin to consider agreeing with. Okay, at the crux of the long, virulent, and desperate attempts to abduct, to kill me, now fully undertaken by the Nigerian Police Force authorities, is an attempt which is spiritual at core, at conquest. It's an attempt at conquest, at core, that's spiritual. It is to take ground which is critical in the spirit and happens to belong to me and is in my possession, fixed on it, in living in my house. It is a war to remove me as an obstacle to the completion of the occult domination of a sphere or the context, to remove me from position. I lay out how the operations, the death squad operations of the police force authorities are set up and how they are being conducted with means that involve and are backed by metaphysical dimensions. It easily has the look of a small part of a big attempt at conquest to take ground as a whole of the Southwest and to conquer its free indigenous people. Something is going on, folks, and we need to pay attention. I lay out the background of the involvement of the Nigerian Police Force authorities, involvement that progressively deepened and reached desperation to kill as murder, as a task that the Nigerian Police Force authorities has now fully undertaken by itself through its death squad operations in the Southwest. Not isolated with regards to my case, but operations that is a conquest thrust from the north and an attempt to quietly liquidate targets in the dispensation of the illegitimate presidency installed by a self-delegitimized top court in judgment that constitutes or borders on, but more of constituting travesty of justice and treason to constitutional order. This is war, folks. This is war. These are fault lines of world war. We would not be worse off by simply paying attention. The cultists who have hijacked a residents' association in the estate where my house is attempted a surreptitious theft of title using the residents' association as a vehicle, and the objects of the clauses of their incorporation documents, their articles of association, they attempted to use it as legal instrument which they unilaterally crafted to be binding on all residents, who they attempted to take, or who they attempt to take as their automatic and compulsory members of their residents' association that is a private entity, that is it's a concern amongst a few people. A private entity, an unscrupulous private entity, and now an unscrupulous and now cultist entity in control of the residents' association, hijacked residents' association. Their residents' association is privately owned and sponsored by a few individuals with unscrupulous aims, such as to establish a legal instrument of sorts as basis to assert control over the estate as a going concern or business, or as a franchise, to exploit and extort residents. In 2012, it imposed a questionable levy, and being privy to facts, I raised queries that were ignored. So I filed a suit in court to protect myself, my rights, and my interests. In their desperation to defend and defeat the suit, their residents' association of unscrupulous sponsors and loyalists that included cultists who were hiding in the background, organizing themselves to hijack and seize their residents' association. They all exposed themselves and their concealed objects as expressed in their incorporation documents as articles of association, their unilateral documents as their constitution that they hope to foist on all residents. The judgment of court delivered in one stroke annuls all the objects the cultists hijacked residents' association, expressed as crafted clauses in their articles of association. While the suit was in court between 2012 and 2020, those with interests that stood to be jeopardized by the suit were inclined, as a residents' association, were inclined to place me under surveillance and seek to employ and contract metaphysical means to liquidate me. The matter was heard by two separate judges. Not long after the matter would arrive before them, they both asked the same question: does this man live in that estate? And they both had the same reaction. It was a reaction of quandary when the reply was in the affirmative. I said, yes, he does. The reasons they asked that same question and reacted in the same way, the same manner, would become obvious later. And even more now, with the Nigerian Police Force authorities setting up its death squad camp and operations with me as primary prime and pressing target, setting up camp inside the estate in an abandoned property, taking over an abandoned property ceded to it by the cultist residents association, that is definitely an arrangement that is definitely without the consent or the knowledge of the rightful owner of the property. The High Court, in its judgment delivered on May 28, 2020, after 8 years of prolonged litigation, which was noted in the judgment. The court found for me fully and awarded me all claims and others sought in asserting my rights and those of my property. In effect, the court, by its judgment, extricates me and my residence and my property from the authority of any residents association which I do not subscribe to of my volition, that is, to uphold common sense. Anyway, the effect of the judgment, what the court was saying in his judgment, the court simply said, leave this man and his house and his property alone. He's not your member. He's not your member. The attempt of the Cultist Residents Association at theft of title subsists regardless of that judgment of court. Regardless of whatever the court says, their objects in their clauses, they subsist. They continue to pursue those objects, and we use all means to try to achieve, including murder, to seek to achieve those objects. Inadvertently on my part, in acting to protect my interests, my rights, and my interests and my rights, and those of my property, I became an obstacle to fundamental objects and a long course of deep frustrations that have erupted in virulent attempts to commit murder, by both the Cultist Residents Association and the Nigerian Police Force authorities, both of whom are now hip joined. In its desperation to abduct, to kill me, the Nigerian Police Force Authority now acts in its self-interest, which are in common with those of the local New World Order cultists, the Residents Association. The cultists nurse hopes that all their objects could still be achieved to completion if I am removed. They have no other choice than by murder. With all their high hopes in occult metaphysical means, all kinds of occult metaphysical means, having failed completely. I am subject to blatant attempted murder, and everybody else is cowed. Not only by that, but by other occult and metaphysical means that I will describe as with time. I lay out the involvement of Nigerian Police Force authorities in the attempt to liquidate me using a petition of bizarre fabrications, and in collaboration with the Cultist Residents Association, the inclinations of the Nigerian Police Force authorities, as shown in this matter, confirmed by definite actions, show its availability and predisposition to give cover to liquidation of parties in favor of whom judgment of court is delivered, acting on the side of the party against whom judgment is delivered, on the part of the police, a willful perversion, a blatant attempt to obstruct the course of justice, as an attempt to annul the judgment of court by its definite actions in this matter. This matter shows the inclinations of the Nigerian Police Force by its clear actions in this case of a predisposition, inclinations and predisposition to undertake such a liquidation of a party in favor of whom judgment of court is awarded, inclinations to undertake the liquidation of that party on behalf of the opposing party that loses a case in court. So you go to the police with a petition or looking for assistance to liquidate, or for consent and approval and cover to liquidate the party that got judgment against you in court. That is exactly what the facts of this case prove. So the only way to sort it out now is to kill me for the Nigeria Police Force authorities. And same objects for the Cultist Persons Association. The Nigeria Police Force authorities has me under surveillance, all in the relentless pursuit to take my life extrajudicially. The inclinations of the Nigerian Police Force exposed in this matter show its availability to giving aid to undermine court judgment of a court of high and superior jurisdiction in blatant and reckless res judicata. Thank you very much for watching. Watch and pray is our commandment. Thank you very much for your support as prayers and other means. God provides for us and feeds us in the work of the ministry we do through your kind generosity. God bless you.